Hey everybody, Mark with Cardivox Academy here. Sorry my face is a little blown out. I've got the window to my office right there, and even with the blinds closed completely, the sun bounces off a big white wall and makes this room extremely hot. But I've got some time to do this video, so we're going to go ahead and do it. Today we're going to be talking about Infant Annihilator, and a song of theirs called Unholy Gravebirth. This was a suggestion by a YouTuber by the name of Baguette. And I do love baguettes. They're crunchy exterior and they're soft interior. And so that made me think it was a good suggestion. Also, Dickie, the vocalist for Infant Annihilator, is really good. Very strong vocalist. He's very acrobatic. He does a lot of really cool things. So we're going to listen to it, kind of break down what he does and how he does it, and have a quick conversation about it. So let's give it a try. Also, we're moving into my allergy season, and I'm hoping my Zyrtec kicks in. So if I'm snorting and sniffling a lot, my apologies. But let's check it out. Let's get into it. And of course, we've got, some tense violins starting. Baby crying, thematic, makes sense, I get it. There we go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we heard just there. So a lot of people, when they think about Dickie Allen and they think about his unique sounding highs, they're thinking about specifically a really animalistic zombie sound. I call them zombie vocals. I don't think they have a specific name, but basically what you're doing is you're taking a standard high vocal, and his high vocals are very, very good in their distortion placement. They have a nice bright yeah sound, and you're taking your tongue and you're putting it at the base of your teeth. So, by doing that, what you're doing is you're augmenting the shape of the vocal cavity, and you're doing it like in a way that is seemingly very unnatural because nobody really talks that way. Nobody's like, "Hey, what's up? My name's Mark. What's going on?" Right? Nobody sings that way. Imagine if somebody got up singing and they were like, "Nothing does more, nothing does more." Everybody would laugh them off stage. But because metal vocals are such a place for experimentation, we can do whatever the heck we want as long as we're doing it safely. So he's taking that tongue placement, putting it behind the base of his teeth, and going, Now you can also take the back of your tongue while your tongue is doing that and very gently touch it to the soft palate, specifically the area in the back, the nasopharynx. And you don't want to constrict the airflow, but it can kind of give it more of a thick, growly sound. So I'll do it without, and then I'll do it with. Now with. Right, one sounds a little bit more like a growl, and really all you're doing is you're taking your tongue, very gently touching your nasopharynx, and that just creates a little bit more of a distortion for your voice to work with. Now, if you want to get really crazy, this is something that I do. I actually grab my whiskers and I pull my cheeks out just to further augment my my vocal cavity, my mouth. So if I just talk, "Hey everybody," you can already hear how my voice sounds really cavernous. Now let's do one of those zombie highs. Just kind of fun. And he does that on that low too, that really big low that brings it in. He does that as well. But anyways, let's keep going. Let's not get too hung up. So those really fast highs, those, I know we talked about this in the Travis Ryan video, but it's just so true. You can rapid fire your highs if you have good breath support and breath control, and if you have good distortion placement, right? So the good breath support and the good breath control, that just means we're not running out of air any faster than we need to. So you can do a high. Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Mark and I can't do this for a really long time because I'm not using a lot of air. Right? And then you probably saw near the end, I took like a little sip breath. If you have air in your reserve because you're using your diaphragm properly and you're not fully pushing out everything, then when you do need to refill your tank, you can just take like a little sip of air off the top and you're fine. And then the higher distortion placement, that basically allows you to not be straining here and carry that muscle strain up into your jaw and your mouth, so you're free to say things very, very quickly. So that's kind of how he's doing it. Another thing I like is how he's mixing the techniques. So he's doing highs like this and then jumping every once in a while, just adding a little bit of that tongue placement. So he'll be like, makes it dynamic and interesting. That's one thing to think about. A lot of times in metal vocals, we have this technique that we do, and then this technique that we do, and then this technique that we do, and we do them back to back. And it's like, oh, highs for fast sections, lows for slow sections. Feel free to mix them up. As long as you're safe, get crazy, get weird, get unique. Sometimes taking two techniques and putting them together, as long as it's a safe combination, can be really powerful. Anyway, let's go. Within this monumental stone, I'm pretty sure that's what he said, you'll notice that it sounded very evil, goblinoid, demonic. States. That's, again, down to the mouth shape, right? A lot of people, they'll want to make that change back here, and instead, sorry, I got a lot of, like I said, my allergies are kind of bugging me, so my apologies. Now, you can take that mouth shape and you can kind of close around it, and you can make it small like this. Rah. So when you're acting out these high vocals, you can put a voice on top of it. So if I take that high, monumental stones, right? Pretty basic, but I close around it and I kind of channel my inner goblin. And by doing that, I make my face and my lips and everything smaller. Monumental stone. Right, that sounds a lot more like what he did because he's closing around it and he's being creative with his pronunciation. Hear how it drops too? A little bit lower? That's from that mouth shape. Stain! Now that's a really good phrase because it starts with wide open mouth and closes into smaller mouth. Right? You can hear him doing that, and he's sliding from one technique to the other. Just makes it more interesting to listen to. That's a cool guitar line. I like that. However it goes. I love that tone. That guitar tone. So let's talk about those lows. So one thing that you'll see sometimes metal vocalists do, especially live, is to make their low vocals, they'll like hunch over, they'll grab their microphone. I don't have a spare near me, but they'll grab their microphone, cup it, and kind of like tuck their jaw in weird and stuff, bend over. You don't need to do that, right? That's a myth. It is true it is true that
Doing those weird things changes the sound of your voice, right?
but why would you want to get the sound that way when it's smashing your lungs, compressing your core so you don't have as much control over your diaphragm, pulling these muscles in and constricting them so that for them to work, they have to pull harder. You're basically like, I want some vocal strain, give it to me now, right? Now, you can get that same sound just by changing the shape of your face. That's all you have to. I've got like a Bane from Batman look going on. And that gives you power over me? Sorry. I got distracted by my Bane mask. Anyway, you can do that by just changing the shape of your lips. So here, what he does is he kind of, this is how I would do it. He might do a slightly different mouth shape. This is how I would do it. He's making kind of like an overbite, but with his lips, keeping the shape small. You can even hear how that changes the way I talk. So then if I do lows, I just spat. That'll happen sometimes. But that narrows the sound, that narrows the airflow, and lets you kind of do a lot of crazy cool things, and you don't have to lean over or cup or any of that to do it. And the amount of strain that takes is it's just the same that you do this. Like, you should do that and not feel any muscle strain. If you do this and have muscle strain, we got some work to do together. But that's really all you need to do. It doesn't have to be this huge crunched change. Ooh. That's good. Boy. So remember earlier in the video when I was like, oh, he puts techniques together? Now he just like put all those high techniques together. So I don't remember the lyrics. I've looked them up. Look them up at your own risk. This band's got they got some weird lyrics. But we're not talking about lyrics. We're talking about vocal technique now. So he starts off with that, and then he goes into a tongue roll. Like, what? And then wherever the lyrics go from there, I don't remember. Right, remember? High sound, bring it down with the mouth shape. Same thing. So that's a really cool example of how you can link techniques together rather than just separating them like Lego bricks. High vocals go on this part of the song. Low vocals go on this part of the song. Mix them up. Now, this is just an aside. I hope he did this on purpose. He might not have, but I hope he did. That tongue roll. We've also got drums that are kind of like, there's a lot of snare work going on that's very quick and staccato and fast. And then we have that bass. I don't know shit about bass, so if I sound like an idiot now, my apologies. But that sort of like really quick, clunky that happens right there. It's kind of like they're all referencing each other. Again, might not have done it on purpose, but I think he did, because this guy clearly thinks about his metal vocals a lot, so I think he did. I hope he did. Let's go back and kind of hear that. Let's talk about that. Oh my God. Okay. So he takes a low with the tongue placement, slides it up into a really chewy goblinoid high super smoothly, right? And that comes from knowing how to pull your distortion high up, right, off your larynx, and then hold it there, right? Hold it through that movement. And he does it really well. I want to listen to how he does it, and then I'm going to try it. Let's see. I went too far back. I'm sorry. Yeah, there we go. I think that's what's going on here. And then, of course, he does those funny, like... It's fun. I don't know. Is it a little goofy? Yeah, it's a little goofy, but it's such a good time. So fun. You know, metal vocals are fun. Remember, when we do our metal vocals, we don't need to use a lot of breath. And that is how he's able to do these long phrases for so long, right? You know, really fast, really staccato, really well enunciated lyrics. These I don't remember at all, but he's able to do those basically nonstop, right? With the lows and the highs. And the reason for that is he's not using so much air, so there's always something in the reserve for him to handle. I always tell a lot of people, don't think of... There are many visualizations out there, and when it comes to visualizations, finding the one that works for you is pretty important. What I always say is, I don't even really think of air as coming out of my mouth when I scream. I think of air rolling around down here and knocking things around, and that's how the sound's created. So then, you know... right? Very little air is used. And that's the key. That's the key. So those highs at the end there, you probably, like, he ended the song really strongly because he, like, took his lowest low and then his highest high. Oh, I keep forgetting I have a video right here. His lowest low and his highest high, you know, and put them sort of back to back, the low and the high. And the low, remember, we had that small mouth shape. Right? And then for the high, what we can do is we can think about it as if we're putting our distortion almost through like our nose, right? Now, obviously we're not, but we're vibrating that high part of our vocal anatomy. Right? So I think that's the end. Yeah, that's the end. But anyways, that's Annihilator. Unholy Gravebirth. Dickie Allen, I think, is a really cool metal vocalist. A lot of fun to listen to. And I hope you found this useful. I hope it kind of broke some things down for you, gave you some new things to try. Again, please, if you don't have a lot of experience doing metal vocals, you know, take it slow. Really make sure, first and foremost, that you understand breathing, that you understand distortion placement. And of course, if you're having some trouble and you need some help, I do give one-on-one vocal lessons via Skype. Information on that in the video description. But stay safe. Keep screaming. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.